I'd like to thank Coach Eric Gilbert for joining me. And Coach Gilbert, we're getting ready for golf regionals at the 3A level. Strasburg High School, you've got your players, Jake Gilbert, Cameron Gilbert, Josh Snyder, Eli Dwyer getting ready to go for regionals. So Collindale Golf Club, if you could start out, tell us a little bit about the venue you're going to be at for regional golf.
You bet. We are going to a fairly tough course. It's traditional in style, so tree lined. It's a great track. They actually host a U.S. Open qualifier every summer. So they're known for their tree lined fairways, kind of tight fairways. They're known for a little bit smaller greens, but quite a bit of undulation, as well as they usually are fairly fast. So they can be a bit of a challenge just to get on in two shots. So it's going to definitely be a challenge. We typically don't play this difficult of a golf course at a regional. So this is going to be a new challenge for us.
Yeah, and I wonder if you could go through a little bit your players.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had a quick season, as it always is in high school golf in the state of Colorado. But overall, what's your assessment of the season?
Well, it's been the most successful season of any golfer in our school's history regarding Jacob Gilbert. But, when it comes to our other guys, we're really in a semi-rebuilding / development stage. We've got a lot of players that have just literally started the game this year. I had a couple players, or actually about 3 players that we just weren't able to really get going in a tournament this year, just because they're just learning how to play the game. Period. When it comes to our varsity, it came down to we had James Sorensen start the year at the number 4 position, and then Josh Snyder came on pretty strong, and then Eli Dwyer kind of came out. Was a big surprise, but he's one of those kids that just seems to be able to figure it out. He kind of just assesses his shot and tries to figure out the best way to be able to get the ball in the hole as soon as possible. And he's sort of a self-taught kid. So, again, he's been a nice surprise, sort of establishing that number 3 spot. And then, of course, Cameron Gilbert, which is a freshman, he's had a lot of golf experience in the past, but he's been in a huge growth spurt. He's gotten really tall this year, but his strength just isn't quite there. So he's learned how to lift weights in weight training with Coach Ross, and so he's just trying to make his swing more efficient. He has a ton of natural talent. He has a beautiful golf swing, but it just isn't quite efficient enough to give him enough distance yet. And that's the challenge for him, is distance, because he's having to hit long clubs into the green on his typical approach shots. So that's where he really has to rely on his short game. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. But, they've gone shooting anywhere from high 90s to low to mid 80s. So there's been about a 10-stroke difference, but it sort of just depends on the length of the course and difficulty of the course. And then, of course, Jake, he's a 4-year starter, if you will. He's been a 2-year captain. We anticipate him to make it to state here on Tuesday. He'll be the first ever to make state 4 years consecutively as a Strasburg Indian. He just barely missed being the Patriot League champion here this last Wednesday. He missed it by 1 shot, but he's by far been our most successful golfer in our program. We've had a couple really good ones, but he's been by far the most successful. And he looks to close out his senior year and his golf career here at Strasburg High School strong. So we're hoping and praying for the best there.
Yeah, you have Jake. You're only senior in the program.
Yep.
You got a freshman and 2 sophomores that are going to play for regional.
Yep.
A lot of bright things looking for Strasburg golf.
We do. Just between Cameron and Eli, they're for sure going to start shooting in probably I would assume the mid to low 80s by next year, and potentially even getting some 70s in there. That's certainly Cameron's goal. That's his goal, is to somehow start shooting in the 70s by next year, and he should with the upcoming year. And he'll spend a lot more time with our golf professional this next year, throughout this coming year, to get better. And then we'll kind of see how Josh progresses. And my understanding, we got a couple, potentially one, an 8th grader that just moved here, that sounds like he's got a lot of golf experience. So we'll see where that lands. But, hopefully our kids will take the time to, when it's not golf season, you're out during the summer playing with your golf professional. Hopefully they're getting lessons and learning more. And I would think by the time Cameron's certainly a junior or senior, or when Eli's a senior, we should have a pretty consistent, pretty reasonable golf team. We should contend in our Patriot League for sure.
So overall, looking at the regionals, how do you prepare your teams mentally for this? Because golf is golf, as they say. You're going to have a different course. But how do you work with them as far as the pressure involved in a regional sort of one and done situation?
Well, again, I certainly make it clear that this is an important tournament. This is what we play for to get to this point, to give you the best possible opportunity to potentially qualify for state. I get them to try to understand that we don't want it to be an all or nothing with tournaments leading up to this. But at the same time, it is just a golf tournament. You can't go in and play tight. You can't be just in your own head. You've just got to take it shot for shot, hole for hole, and hope in the end that somewhere you'll land where state spots might be available. But the biggest thing is I just want them to, certainly my younger kids, I don't want to necessarily sell them a bill of goods saying, oh yeah, you have you should make state when you're shooting 90s. I mean, that's just usually not very realistic. But you never know when they'll have that round where they're maybe shooting 84, 85, and that might be good enough to get in. So I would certainly say Cameron and Eli are going to be bubble kids. So I want them to just go in and play loose and play like they have nothing to lose. I mean, they really have nothing to lose. The expectation isn't necessarily that they're going to get to state in a normal situation, but you just don't know if you finally put everything together. If you can somehow just stay in the fairway, it's going to be tough to score at this golf course. So I anticipate the last 3 or 4 positions to go to state, they could be somewhere hovering around 90 because this course isn't easy to score with. Of course, it would be awesome to make state. If you don't, that's okay. We're going to be working towards next year. But at the same time, if you go out and have a great round, you could get there. So just play like you have nothing to lose.
So this coming Tuesday, Collindale Golf Club. And Collindale Golf Club also always uses a U.S. Open qualifier.
Yep.
So obviously a very difficult course.
Yep.
But best of luck, Coach Gilbert. Hope to talk to you next week in preparation for state.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.